I'm Kelly.
And I'm Danny.
Welcome back to the ProCreatives podcast for moms who make things.
Yes, the podcast for moms and future moms who are navigating their creative careers as they raise their little inspirations.
Today's episode, we're speaking with new mom and amazing creative entrepreneur, Naida Lynn. Welcome, Naida.
Welcome, Naida.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, before we get into it, we want to let the people know all about you and your creative work.
Naida Lynn is a community builder, life coach, and self-proclaimed momtrepreneur. With experience in career development, media, and the arts, she now endeavors to teach women how to become their happiest, healthiest selves in life, love, and in their careers.
We love that. We're all about that.
Help me out.
Right.
We are all about that. So I know you've highlighted a lot of experience that you have, career development, media, and the arts. And I know my first intersection with you was as like a singer-songwriter. And from that time, you've been through a lot of changes, marriage and motherhood and more. But I do want to ask, what was your journey to motherhood like? Share with us a little bit of your story, because we do understand it's different for everyone.
Sure. So my journey to motherhood was very intentional, and it was also, it was practical, it was methodical. So, I got married older, I should say. I'm 35 now. I was 33 at the time, I think. And my husband, is also in his late 30s. And so for us, we knew that because we had been single for so long, we were ready to try and start a family soon. And so in our minds, we were planning to wait longer, at least a year. But 4 months into marriage, I had a come to Jesus moment. And I was like, you know what? I'm not getting younger, and this isn't guaranteed. And you know how the statistics are. Can be a geriatric mother,
I hate that label, geriatric.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also I've heard things about the study. It wasn't even fully accurate for people of color. The pool was very limited. And so, but that was in my mind. And I just kind of was like, you know what, my husband, every time he's like, can we try now? Can we try? I'm like, but it was kind of like holding it at bay. But we got married in July of 21, and during Thanksgiving of 21, while I was with all my family in Florida, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. You don't know how long it will be. You don't know how it would go. And so I just decided to, go for it. And so what ended up happening is I was like, all right, I had taken I was so set on not having a baby before 1 year that I took a fertility class to learn exactly when and how and everything about my body to not get pregnant. And so when it was time to get pregnant, I was like, okay, babe, so we got this window, this time. I need her to be born before September 3rd so that she can go to kindergarten on time.
Cut off. Oh my gosh, I thought about that.
And I said, you know what? And these are the statistics. So there's no guarantee it'll even work. We may have to try it a few times, but if all the stars align, if God blesses my womb and all the things come in line, this is when we need to do it. This how often, this is when, blah, blah, blah. And it worked. So right away we got pregnant. Found out maybe obviously a month later that we were expecting. And the rest is history.
Oh my gosh. That is so beautiful. I think the beauty of pregnancy and birth and motherhood is that everyone has a different story. So thank you for sharing that. One of the other things I wanted to know is that you talked about knowing your body.
Listen.
And, that is something that I feel like is really important to know. Just knowing the full scope of our cycle and how our body is affected for pregnancy, yes, but also just for ourselves to know, okay.
Definitely. I was going to say, I think for me, it's such a part of a bigger picture for me when it comes to knowing my body. I'm such a fan of just like a holistic filter when it comes to how you approach everything. And so
Mm.
very early on, I don't judge people who are on birth control, but for me, I didn't want to do anything synthetic. Like I wanted my
Yeah.
body I wanted to work with how my body worked naturally.
Wow.
I wanted to support that, just like you said, emotionally, but also physically. And also like God had, the way God created us, our bodies are amazing and they're incredible. And so you can literally learn what your body's doing by so many things. It'll tell you what it's doing, how and why.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
incredible because it is, I feel like, and to pivot this conversation into faith, is that there's so many things in our world, like our world is made up of systems and cycles. And from the rising of the sun to, you know, the setting of the moon, to the way the stars are positioned in the sky. And we're not talking about astrology, but just astronomy, you know, different seasons, like there's a cycle, and that's important for us to be mindful of that. You know, you're feeling a little bit horny, that's kind of a sign that you're ovulating, you know, like that's a part of that's a part of it. That's the emotional, but it's also like the biological aspect of it. So I think it's great that that's something that you emphasize, and I'm glad that that's a part of the conversation that we're having.
But you know, you say they mention stuff to us in school, right? But like they don't encourage, like I remember getting the lesson, right? The quick lesson, because you know, everybody's like nervous, or they don't, I don't know, they're not really like as welcoming to the information, right? You know, you're like a tween or whatever, but they don't encourage you to learn your body, right? They just say, this is what's happening. They tell you what's happening versus telling you to listen to what's happening to you. And I find that very interesting. Like, I also didn't want to get on birth control because first of all, I tried it, you know, the doctor recommendation, and immediately I felt a change in my body. And I was like, I can't do this. See, this gonna have me wired and crazy. So I got off of it. And he was like, oh, it's a real low dose. It was something called low estrogen. And I was like, yeah, I could feel all of low estrogen. Okay.
It was a very low effect.
Right. It wasn't that low. So, and I, just like you, I had to learn my body, especially when I wanted to become pregnant. I did like the little ovulation kit, so you can like, but understanding that is what helps you to, it keeps you from, you know, from surprises. And I really didn't know, I have to admit, like as an adult, I didn't know how intricate like your body was. I thought getting pregnant would have been easy because of, you know, the things you see, you know, teenage pregnancy, like, oh, people get pregnant just by, and you had the impression that it's just by having sex, especially when your parents drill it to you, like, don't have sex, you're gonna get pregnant. But not understanding that, as you said, Kellyanne was saying, like, you know, there's seasons, your body's going through these changes, but there's also like, there's times when you're good to go, and then there's times you need to be cautious. But nobody taught us that. So I applaud you for that. And I think and we need to teach our young people more of that, because, you know, instead of putting all these synthetic things in our bodies, we can just, as you said, pay attention to our bodies, right?
I think there's also a sacredness that I learned about my body that was missing in the conversation when it was taught biologically. It was almost as if it were male voices speaking about the female body from a heady place. And so it's just like, and it was only what was in relation to what a man did. It was like, here goes your egg, there goes the sperm, versus your uterine softening, you know, a certain your cervix opening to receive it. And like, you know, and I think in later years, especially as women have kind of like, you know, just begin to be more vocal and to kind of take ownership of these parts of our body. Like my introduction and learning, like there's so many things I learned when I was ready to get pregnant that I had no clue about my body. Like, I don't know how, if you guys need to cut this out, but it might be graphic, but I'm just
go for it.
I just knew that certain times of the month, my underwear would have, you know, like stains or different things.
Right.
Yeah.
I never really understood and found out that it's estrogenic mucus, and which has a pH, a certain slightly acidic pH. That's why your underwear tend to change colors and almost bleed. The estrogenic mucus. And I had no idea that the stringier it is, that's the most fertile mucus you have. And so I like these things that would happen, and I'd just be like, oh, that's weird. What is that? Oh man, my body's, it's like, no, actually every month your body follows this cycle. And then once the estrogenic mucus begins to dry out, there's a high probability you've ovulated. And then there's a dry window before you menstruate. And the only reason you menstruate is because you ovulated. You will not menstruate. If you haven't menstruated in a while, it's because you haven't ovulated yet, like just all these things. And I feel like it's brought like a sacredness, like I said, to like knowing like, wow, my body is amazing and it's
Can you teach health class? Because this is amazing. Seriously, like let's get all our daughters and get them together, because honestly, that approach to this conversation is so, because as our children are entering the teenage years, like Kellyanne, she's the closest. But I'm still thinking about the conversation I'm going to have. I'm trying to prep myself. And like, I want to have those conversations, explain why these things are happening, because they're going to ask us, and you can just say, oh, that's just discharge. That's normal. Like, okay, yes, it is normal, but why?
Yeah.
Like that's so, yes. So you're not dirty. Your body's just doing what it do. It's a part of the process.
Exactly. And that's what panty liners are for. Like I didn't start using them until way later. And I just thought, well, that's weird. It can't hold enough period. But it's like, no, you can have panty liners to protect your underwear, but to capture in between, like there's just so many things. And
wow, I love that. So what was your perspective on motherhood before you became a mother? Like, what did you think about motherhood?
It's interesting because I don't want to sound cynical, but I think in my upbringing, I was kind of conditioned to just see it as this like end all be all, like, oh, I'm a mother, which came very closely hand in hand with the idea of like, you just marry a man. Life is about getting married and having kids. So like, I kind of fell into that for most of my, teenage to young adult years. I was just focused on seeing it as this, like, this is all I ever wanted. And I think around like right before the pandemic and during the pandemic, it was a shaking of so many things for me. Like everything that could be shaken was shaken. And one of the things was like, I think it was a reckoning or like a questioning of like, okay, wait, what now? Most of my life up until right before I met my husband, and right before, just that period, I started to have a side eye when it came to motherhood, and honestly I'm not going to say I looked down on anyone, but I just felt like this indignation for women and everything we had to go through. And I'm like, so men are just out here depositing, like their seed in women, and like a woman who has 7 kids did this 7 times, like, and like the toll on her psyche, her mental, and we're still not paid the same. So I don't know. I feel like it kind of like I became in this place kind of angry and almost like indignant about the plight of women when it comes to pregnancy and motherhood and the toll, because then as I got older, the reality of it started to hit me more. And I was like, and I started thinking about how unfair it was. And by the time I met my husband, who was very ready to have a child, and I had not died to my love or desire for it, but I started to also have these other thoughts. So it was something we had to work through and come to terms with, like, hey, I have reservations, I have fears, I have thoughts and, concerns. So that's, a bit of a hodgepodge, but that's my journey. That's how I started to look at it.
I love that. I think it's very realistic. And I wonder if it's because of where in your life you were, because, okay, as you just said, we've been conditioned, right? Society, even our family. I even had family members. I remember when I just had my first, and I was like complaining about I don't want to say complaining, but that's what I was tired. I was just like, okay, I'm tired. This is so much. And my husband was at school and he was working at the time. So, he wasn't around as often, but he was around, but you know what I'm saying? So I was just looking for me just like to share the load. And I remember being like told from family members, oh, you're the mother, you're being a mom. And I just felt like, so I do understand what you're saying. It makes you feel very isolated. I'm like, but I didn't do this by myself. Right.
Right.
We're a family.
Expectation.
Right. But yet still we're expected to carry this enormous load and still function in other aspects. Then you want me to be sexy. Can I
Right.
get can I get a nap? Hello.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
You know
You
what I'm saying?
want
Like,
sex
no, but
time?
right. And then you still want me to be up and cooking. Like, I'm like, how many hours are there in a day? You want me to be all of these things. So, I'm grateful. I think our generation, we're really like thinking about things right now and like asking the questions like, okay, how do we want our family to function? Like it needs to be a partnership. Women are ready, and they could say whatever, y'all can get in the comments, but we take on a lot of the mental load. And it is so much more. They might say, well, it's not physical, but it takes a toll on us. So we're thinking about all the things, all the appointments, all the, all the things, what the kids like, what they like to eat, what they don't like to eat, what they feel like eating this week. All those things are in our mind when we grocery shop, everything that we do. And yet still we're expected to be normal, right? And
I mean, it biologically changes you though. Like they've shown that having a child biologically changes you. And when they are in distress, the effects that it has in a mother's body is completely different than
it is.
A man is able to disassociate. We carried them in our bodies and shared biology, gave them of ourselves. Like we built them from the inside, like if it's biological children that you have, because there are mothers who become this in different ways. But if
we still tethered,
you're tethered. Right. And so it is, I think that overall there is there's still room for improvement for people to recognize the weight of that we carry, both seen and unseen. And both during postpartum and then as they're raising.
Yeah, it's an important conversation to have, especially like we highlight women also in the workplace, right? Who are, we just had Tanya Molyneux come on and she was talking about working in the film industry and how, listen, you want me to be on set for 12, 14-hour days. I have a kid at home and I have to navigate that. You don't have to, and that's fine. But the way for me to take ownership of that is by doing my own work and creating my own productions and doing my own films. And so I think in some ways it might have to come to that as far as the practical aspect of things. But yeah, I think there's a lot. Being a mom, biologically or otherwise, it doesn't just stop when you get the kid in your arms. Like it just doesn't stop. The anxiety levels increase. There's so many things that you're thinking about. And it's really a challenging space. And like you both have said, like guys don't have that. They have their own responsibilities, and on their own things that they're thinking about. But I will say, I do believe that women do. We carry the child and we carry a lot of the responsibility. Society does have a lot to say, though, I think, especially with Caribbean households, and maybe this is not so much in America. I know all three of us are from Caribbean households. I mean, Naida, you're of Haitian descent, right?
Yes,
So there is also, and I think you alluded to it too, the pressure of like the mom being the one to do all of the things. And
the superhero syndrome of like,
yeah. And some of that is too, like sharing the load. I don't have to do all things. Okay. I put it on the calendar. But somebody wanted to pick up them kids, and it doesn't have to be me.
Right. Listen, this is my soft girl era. So like, I'm just like TikTok. My sister and I talk about it all the time. TikTok is opening my eyes. Like I'm realizing, okay, like I don't have to do that. I'm not mule. Why am I going to carry all this heavy load?
That's right there.
I'm sensitive. I'm tender. Like if you want the glory, because I know with some of the questions you have for me, like as a creative, I'm realizing that like it is my glory to bring beauty into this world. And there is a way and a bedrock for that to come. The more rested I am, the more supported I am, the more held and kept I am. You're going to get all the smiles, all the beauty, the time for me to do my nails. Like I can and I will give it, like I have no problem doing that. But you must also take away the things that cause me to be in my masculine. And when I'm in my masculine, you're not going to get all that other frilly stuff that brings so much, that lights up the room. You know what I mean? So I think that, society, I feel like this is oversaid, waking up. Everyone is waking up to something. At this point, I need a nap from all the wake ups, but nonetheless, I think that people are waking up to recognizing like, you will get that best side of me. I will give it. But as a woman, like there's a level of cherishing that I'm owed that will cause me to overflow in those beautiful places. And then I will make that homemade cooked meal, and I will nurture our child so they feel loved and kept. And then I'm going to get some me time to get in the shower and to get my nails done and to go on a walk with quiet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. It's a team effort. I mean, I think that is a privilege too, to have a supportive spouse, because unfortunately, you know, some women think they have a supportive partner, and then they find out that that person may not be as supportive as they thought they were going to be. So I recognize that there's a lot of privilege behind that. And that's where I bring in the community aspect. And I think as moms too, we have to be supportive of other moms and, you know, reminding them that, hey girl, you need to rest. Okay. Hey girl, you don't have to do everything. You know,
hey girl, find that therapist, right?
Hey girl, find that therapist. You know, we might need to do that too. So I think there definitely is a balance, but I'm grateful to say that, of course, we have supportive spouses who thankfully do allow us the space to be able to live in that soft life, you know. But for some women, it's still challenging because they don't necessarily have the framework to be able to do that. But we're encouraging you to find a community of women that can support you and encourage you on your journey, because how else are you going to make it? You know, when I call Danielle and I'm like, girl, these kids got me going through it. You know, reminding me that, hey, or giving me tips or encouragement, like that too helps me to be able to rest. Okay, you know what? It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. But good stuff. I mean, just good.
I do have a quick question though. Like, I don't want to get too deep into the conversation you have with your husband, but like, what are some of the things for those who want to have that conversation? Like Kelly, I was saying, like, yes, we're grateful to have husbands, but like, they're not perfect either, right?
Right.
Even though they've seen the things and they don't walk in our shoes, right? And I don't think they could really ever. They can just show understanding and empathy.
Facts.
But like, what tools would you offer to someone else, like a mom, like a wife and a mother, to talk to their spouse about, like, you know, these are the concerns I'm having, that I'm basically, everything's dumped on me. So what is the conversation you have with your husband to like help, you know, share that load?
Sure. For me, I think it's just clear communication and just accepting that it might have to be a frequent conversation. And for me, it's specifically expressing what I need, and then expressing the challenges as well. Sometimes it can be it's super simple and I'm able to be like, hey babe, I need this. Other times it's like a heated fellowship. You know what I mean? After one sleepless night, I woke up and after one sleepless night, I woke up and I created a care.com profile and I started looking for a nanny. And I did all the steps. And then he came home. I'm like, all right, babe, so I'm going to hire a nanny to come at this time and this time. And then the money was involved. Wait. What do you need? What do you need? What's going on? I'm like, because at that point I had asked for help, and then the help comes and then pull back, you know, and all that stuff. Right. So then our heated fellowship, he was like, but at that point, I guess the heated fellowship had already passed. At this point, it was like, what do you need? I'm all ears. I'm like, I'm hiring somebody Monday through Friday for 2 hours in the morning, just so I can have a morning to myself and take a nap. He's like, I got you. Let me do 1 hour morning every day that week. So it was almost as if even me bringing my own solutions brought him to like troubleshoot himself.
Right. Okay.
It's been a mix of that. Other times, know, sometimes men can be a little, they speak from their own perspective. It's just watching a kid, you know, you're fine. It's not, just get up.
They do it.
Start your day early. I'm like, oh, really? So then that's when it's like the text messages, the books. I'm gonna need you until you're staying up all night. Please back up. No, you know, like I'm just sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's straightforward. Always respectful as much as possible. You know, like I don't I don't throw punches while I'm at it. I'm really big on I statements. I'm really big on expressing how I'm experiencing something. And I'll just say something to the effect of, hey, I'm overwhelmed and this is too much and I cannot do it on my own. I need, and literally I'll give bullet points. I need you to watch her for 1 hour in the morning. And I need this, So that's what I would encourage mothers to do. Just speak clearly, speak of yourself. Sometimes, like you might start to feel that they are, you start making offense toward them and what they're not doing rather than communicating the need and the expectation. And they literally don't feel the same way you do. So unless you bring them into that world, they can't know. And it's not fair to hold them to it.
I agree.
I like how you said, provide a solution and allow them to troubleshoot, because I think a lot of times we want to tell them and say, okay, this is the solution, but you have to understand that your spouse is still a person and they are not who you have in your head and they're not you. So allowing them to troubleshoot is allowing them to see what you need, but provide it in the way that they can. Right. I love that.
What I'm going to do. What do you think? Do you have a Oh, you don't want it to touch our pocket? Okay, what is a non-pocket you would like to bring to this conversation? And it came quick. And up to that point, it was like pulling tooth and nail to ask for that help. But then after that, it came easy.
Good.
I love that. She said, once the pocket started getting touched, wait a minute. I think there's a better solution that's more But this is great. This is great. I think the open lines of communication, and I think both of you have really just said, like, being honest, and acknowledging that the other person is not going to be able to be a mind reader. I mean, sometimes we think, doesn't this person know that I'm going through it?
Obvious. Don't they see it? Right?
They don't.
We handle ourselves so well.
And we're all coming to the table with different experiences. Like, I was realizing that the way that I grew up with my mom is not the way my husband grew up. And so, like, his perspectives are a lot different than mine. And his patience level is also a lot different than mine. But
praise God. Right?
That's neither here nor there, but praise God for it anyway. So yeah, it's so much of us and our own experiences coming to the table that we really do have to leave room for open lines of communication and just being honest and frank with how we're actually feeling, and not like, I'm okay, when your hair is like going different directions. Everything's fine, I promise. It's like, oh, actually, you're not okay.
Right.
Okay, so you are pivoting from a career as a singer-songwriter, though I do hope we get to hear more of your music in the future. I want her
to sing right now. I'm just saying. But anyway, go.
She is an incredible singer and songwriter. That is a fact, and that's how we met, actually. But now you really have this passion of, like, helping people find out who they are and what they really want to do, right, in their lives. So how did you discover this current passion that you have? Like, how did that come to the front page news?
It's interesting because I think the older that I'm getting, the more I'm realizing our need to stop trying to control every detail and direction of our lives, and to keep instead a posture of open palms and surrender. Because honestly, they say hindsight is 20/20. And I feel like the more, as I go on my journey, I'm realizing, number one, God has so many plans for me that are bigger and better than I could ever imagine. And number two, like, he actually will put the DNA of different stops on our journey from the get-go. Like, well, we may not even realize it was always part of the plan, but like over time, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that thing, and that thing. It kind of reminds me of the movie Slumdog Millionaire, if you've ever seen it.
Oh, yes.
It goes to this moment and all these little pieces that were random and stupid, exactly what he needed to do what he was doing.
Yes.
So, I, like you expressed, singing and songwriting still has my heart, and it is really the thing that I like. It makes me come alive like nothing else. But I'm realizing that seasons bring with them different opportunities to grow, to express, and to be. And the less that I am have my hands gripped on what the expression will look like, the better and the freer that I am. And so right now I'm in this space where what God is breathing on, where the wind is on business, is on empowering and inspiring women, and on empowering them to experience happiness and wholeness and health in all areas of life, right? But the thing is, that was always part of where I've been. Like I've always been an inspirer. Like I've always thrived on inspiring women. And, you know, it's funny because at one point in my career, I had gone to school for legal, right? My undergrad was international law, government, and history. I was looking for work, and this agency said, hey, we'll get you working in a legal office, but we need help in our office for 2 weeks, like to literally help people get jobs for 2 weeks. And 2 weeks turned into 1 year, and 1 year turned into me transitioning to work as a career advisor at a vocational college. And this, as a career advisor, I worked my way up and became a director of that department. And it was like these random turn of events that I would not have planned. And in fact, there was one point when I first started working as a career advisor that I was like neglecting my job because like I was going to be a singer. I was going to be at Times Square performing. And this was just a little petty little job that like just had to pay the bills while I did it. Right. And when I started having issues at work, they put me actually on a 3-month probation. They said, you either get your act together or you're out. Right. You have 3 months.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, Lord. So maybe you're transitioning me out. And he said, stewardship. He said, character. He said, discipline. And it was like this, like, oh, wow. And number one, not only did I turn around, and this boss who put me on this probation literally turned out to be the best boss I've ever had, and so empowered me to the point that after he moved on, I was able to get his job, and I like thrived in that position. And it was actually the first job that gave me an opportunity to perform at a stadium singing music twice.
Stop it.
Wow.
Look at 20,000 people. The job that I was going to quit because it wasn't going to lead to my music career.
Wow.
I wrote a random birthday song for their school anniversary. They're like, hey, we have graduation coming up. Can you sing at our graduation? And so literally, like, you can watch it on YouTube. I'm performing and inspiring hope. I got to create words that inspired these graduates. Like, look how far you've come. You've done it, you know? And so I think that because of how much life was on the music, and I know and believe there's still more to come in terms of music for me, but I'm seeing that God has always had this career stuff in his mind. It's been leading me up. Nothing was wasted. Not graphic design I did randomly and had to learn because I was trying to start a greeting card business, and my graphic designer pulled out last minute and I had a collection coming. So I had to learn the Adobe products overnight, not the videos I used to make for myself. And my music manager stopped working with me because he was like, why are you focusing on these random YouTube videos, these tip of the weeks? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel life on it. And I learned how to edit before all this TikTok world, you know, I learned how to edit. He leaves because I'm not focusing on music as much. It turns into somebody asking me to create it for their business. I create an LLC as a response to helping them. I end up helping all these different people with videography and all this stuff, you know, and one girl met her husband because he stumbled upon this video after.
Wow.
And these random things that I was doing that ended up leading me to work on radio for a little bit because they heard my tip of the week. And then I ended up, you know, working in human resources. And because I had done all that stuff in the past, I start doing creative work for them randomly as part of, not even paid. And when I leave them, I know this is a lot. When I decide to leave them in 2019 and separate, I offered to do my creative stuff for them as through my business, and they accepted. And so for 3 years, I worked primarily as a graphic designer and a multimedia communications consultant. Like, what?
Wow.
I didn't go to school for that. And it's like one thing led to another. I'm in all these roles, but the biggest thing, and this is where I land the plane, the biggest thing is that I have been blessed to put my hands in so many pots and so many things. And it all comes down to just beauty, giving beauty, creating it, harnessing it, curating it, uncovering it in people, in words, through words. And it may have different vehicles, but if I can keep my hands open and just right now being a mother, music doesn't look the same, but if I can keep my hands open, beauty will be created where it is. And now even like literally I have a child that I've been able to give birth to and pour into. And now I feel like, whereas a lot of what I was doing was me focused, I'm now able to turn that attention to giving that beauty away to other women and showing them how to unlock it within themselves.
Wow. I'm inspired already, girl. Listen.
That's incredible.
And sometimes things get resurrected, you know, that's the thing. Trusting. It's what is the season calling for? Because if you look at Jesus, like Jesus was, he was always there to redeem and to seek and save that which was lost, to reconcile us to the Father. But one day he's at a wedding turning water to wine, another he's healing some eyes, like another he's exhorting, calming storms. Like it's removing our hand from needing to control the outcome. And sometimes God may speak a prophetic word about what we're going to do, but it may be a look into 1 year of your whole life. Who says that it now has to be the next 40, 50, 60 years? You're going to do that one thing. What if it was just a peephole into a portion on the timeline, you know? I mean, designing my own website, like creating promo and marketing stuff, like everything I've learned up to now, creating my own legal documents because of my legal background. It's all come in.
Ooh, incredible. Now, how do you feel like motherhood actually has enhanced or challenged your creativity? Because I feel like you kind of mentioned, wanting to give that same beauty to your daughter, but how do you feel like it's enhanced the work that you want to do or challenged you?
I think she's still so young that I'm still kind of figuring that out. But I think if anything, it has solidified what I thought before. Before I was this single woman who was already kind of giving these health and life tips and being that to my friend circle. But now I have a real challenge called a whole nother life to tend to that is now challenging my self-care recommendations, but it's also opened me up to a whole population of women that I hadn't really considered. I'm like, just get up, start your morning, do all this stuff. Okay, but how do I do that with a child when I sucking on my flesh all night? like that's cute, but now I can be like, no, it's possible, So if anything else, I feel like it has opened who I can be, who I can speak to the experiences. And it's just giving me a deeper layer of empathy and compassion, but also fire to be like, I know I'm there, exhausted too, but you know what? That shower, them holy 11 p.m. showers, man, they will give you new life. And like, all you want to do right now is clean this nursery, but you have not eaten yet and you matter. Go eat. And so literally me having to coach myself, Naida, you are worthy of eating right now. You are worthy of doing this stuff. And so it becomes like this curriculum that I'm able to then give away. And like my weight loss journey after giving birth for a lot of people has shocked and shook them because of how quickly it happened. But for me, it was intentional. Leading up to, I was in better shape right before I got pregnant than I was on my wedding day, because after I got married, I was still focused on like being good to my body, feeding it, nurturing it, supporting my cycles, that, to prepare myself for optimal pregnancy. And then throughout my pregnancy was a very seamless one as well. stayed active as much as I could. But then as soon as I felt well enough, like as soon as I felt healed and I got the clear from my doctor, I restarted a workout accountability group where I've like moved at least 90% of every month for the last 5 to 6 months. And so I've literally been focused on exercise and then like eating. So those things, they don't just happen by nothing. And if I can do it, like there is room for women. Like I was able to find it even through my breakdowns, even through my anxiety and the depression, like continuing to ascribe value to my worth and who I am has like helped me to make space on all the hundreds of things I need to do to serve everybody else. It's allowed me to like carve out this is what Naida needs, and Naida's gonna get it because she matters too.
She matters
as much as her kid. And
moms
so
matter too.
they matter too. So I think
like how you said that, because we know we do that, and we don't really think about ourselves. We put ourselves in the background so we can take care of everybody else. And I don't know if it's a natural, like we say, oh, I'm putting myself in the background. That's not what you're thinking. You're just thinking, the need is here and it's pressing right now, so I'm going to take care of it. But and we don't really, and it's funny that we don't see it when we're the operating bus here. Like we don't hear the squeaking on our own bus, right? But we hear it on everybody else's. Right? Isn't that the thing?
Right. And then we burn out. And then that's
when we're like, how come we broke down? You was squeaking and smoking for 5 miles, girl.
Right. And then we don't understand why, like everyone, like we're doing the job, we're making it happen, but we're not making it happen happily. It's
healthily.
And not healthily. There's somebody who said, it's not how high you climb, but it's how happily you do so. Yeah, I can get to the top really quickly, but like, what is the quality of my life as I'm doing the thing? Like,
yeah. So how do you navigate your creative pursuits and motherhood?
It's kind of wild. I mean, some days, to be honest, while I put her down for a nap, I walk around the house for 20 minutes with my planner in my hand. So I'm literally getting my
moving.
And while she's doing it, not every time, sometimes the kindest thing for me to do is to take a nap. And so I really do what is the kindest thing. What will my body, my heart, my mind, my spirit thank me for? And so if I know I'm probably not going to have time to go on a walk, I put her down and I know I can get her to sleep for 30 minutes. I'll literally take my notebook. And I mean, these are some of the things I teach in the creative stuff. I know you're about to ask me that question, but like showing like prioritization models and different things you can do. One analogy is an analogy of rocks. Like one time this professor was talking to his class and he had this huge clear jar and he said, guys, I want you to answer a question. He takes all these huge stones and fills them up to the top. And he said, is this jar full? And the class said, yes. He's like, actually, then he took like sand and filled all the rest of the crevices. And he said, it wasn't full. Is it full now? Yes, it is. He's like, actually, then he took water and filled it and it filled the most. And then he's like, now it's full. The thing is like, our rocks are the most important things. And the sand is the second list of like important things to do. And then water is the last. And so many times we fill our schedules, our days in our lives with water. And then we try to put in the big things that are very important and you just make a mess. And so if you at the top of your week, at the top of your day, at the top of the year, take time and what are my rocks? What are the most important things? Okay, I have to be well mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. What do I need? How do I schedule this rock into my day? Okay, this goes first. My kids have to be taken care of. And then I add the extra social media scrolling that is probably water that just took that hour. That just took that hour that I could have used
so fast, right?
So it's kind of like reframing your life around the most important things, and you'll feel a lot more fulfilled because you'll feel like you're putting your hands to things that are purposeful and that matter. I think we need to recognize our hearts matter and our experiences matter. And just like the check engine sight on a car, you would never put duct tape over it and be like, it'll be fine. Like it's the light indicator light is on because there's something off. And if we'll listen to our fatigue, if we'll listen to the fact that we're getting angry and like doing all this stuff, we can recognize, oh, I need attention. I need a tune-up. I need something to make me well.
I need a snack and a nap.
I need a snack. Then
I need a hug too.
I need a hug.
Ooh,
Right.
ooh, that part.
Let me run right. So the mistake a lot of mothers and people make is they think I'll do it later. They make
Yeah.
one of the main rocks, they put it last, and then
Yeah.
why it doesn't happen. And so we will literally be better postpartum mothers and up to like being empty nesters if we keep it as a priority as well. The thing about us moms and us women, we'll take care of business if we have to. We'll do anything, sacrifice for our children. And so that's where there's advocating for better conditions for us to pump if we have to go to work and things. But like, make room. You'll get the best of us. If you literally make room for us, you'll get the best of us.
Oh my gosh. And even with something like breastfeeding, 12 years ago when I had my daughter, older women looked at me like I had 3 heads for breastfeeding my kids.
Instead of giving formula, right?
Instead of giving formula, which is like so, but I say to see, even in this 12 years, the transition the society has gone through was like, now, actually breastfeeding is actually, it's like, duh, you know what I'm saying? Like, hello,
natural, what your body knows, the wisdom of like how God knit us together to provide everything our child needs.
So what is it that you're working on creatively right now? And, how can people connect with more of what you're doing?
Awesome. Thank you for asking. So what I'm working right now on is a new coaching business that I started called My Kindest Life. And the mission is to just teach women how to become their happiest, healthiest selves in life, in love, and in their careers. And so with those 3 different wings, I am just offering different ways for women to do that, to experience that in all these areas. And so for the kind of like the wellness leg of what I'm doing, I started like an accountability group. It's called Moving Kind. And every month, literally, I get a collection of women together and we check in every day with each other with our workouts. And there's like cash incentives. Like if you don't work out for more than 2 days in a row, you have to pay everyone $1. Or if everyone works out 3 days in a row, everybody gets $1. And so just different things to just keep us excited. And so there's like a constant texting of one another, like, all right, this is what I did, 30 minutes of this walk, or I did, Zumba for this long. And so that's just one practical side of becoming your happiest, healthiest self, like taking care of your body, that I made space for that. Oh, and something I forgot to mention is with this coaching, a big thing for me is building communities that support, because I feel like we are better together. And so with all these things that I'm doing to help women experience that, there's always a community aspect that they're invited into. And so there's Moving Kind. And then something that I'm really excited and is about to relaunch, because I did 3 months at the beginning of this year, took April off to invite more people in, is something called the Boss Lady Wellness Circle. And so this is the career aspect of it. And the focus is, this is an accountability group that meets every Monday night at 7 p.m. And it's just women entrepreneurs. And the focus is meeting both business and wellness goals. So literally there is no separating it. Yes, you're going to do all these great things, but are you good? How are you, boss lady? So the motto is be well, do well. And so every week the women, we come together and we check in. Okay, wellness goal that you set at the beginning of this month. How are you doing? Okay, I drank my water this many times, and I did this, and I finally got into therapy, and here's my session. Awesome. Now, what about your business? Okay, and my revenue has increased because I've consistently posted and did X, Y, and Z. And so that's something I'm really, really excited for. I did a beta launch earlier in the year with me and like 4 or 5 other entrepreneurs, and now I've opened the door for all boss ladies. And so that's something, if somebody wants to get in, those are 2 specific ways they can go in, but you can expect from My Kindest Life, just educational videos that do the same kind of like what I said about the rocks, and just teaching ways to practically be integrated in all these areas, like I'm very big on remembering, if you have public fruit but personal wreckage, then you've got it all wrong. There's no point there. And the goal is to teach women, like, my home is taken care of, I'm well, my finances are in order, my career is in alignment, my body is well, my spirit is strong. And guess what? Here goes my mission and my purpose as I'm giving it away to other people, as I'm, like doing my content creation, as I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And so, yes. So to recap, it's a new coaching business, and it has 2 vehicles right now that people can jump into, which is Moving Kind and the daily accountability workout group that happens every month, and Boss Lady Wellness Circle.
Okay. And where can it be found?
If you go to www.mykindestlife.com, you can find Boss Lady Wellness stuff. You can find my coaching, because I do see clients one-on-one, if they're interested. And then all my socials, that's where I share the free tips on just being well in all the areas.
Awesome. And we will make sure to share all your social handles and your website in our show notes.
All right. So quick, who is your favorite TV mom?
Beth from This Is Us.
Oh, yes.
I love her.
What about her? What about her you like the most?
I just love that she is graceful and spicy. She
Yes.
she will she's understanding, but she'll get it together, and she'll say it like it is, but she's fun.
Yes.
And the way she supports Randall, she's like his number one fan and his number one,
Yeah, and she makes sure she uplifts him and makes sure he gets to work. I love that. Okay, and then let me see. Can you give us a funny or sweet story involving your child and work?
My favorite thing is when I am trying to do work and she comes and lets me know it's not happening, and I have to just close my laptop and just give it in. Me trying to be on my laptop and her jumping, and I'm like, okay, moving it here and trying to do this. I'm like, you know what? Hi, what do you need, child?
What do you need? Oh,
I'm yours. I'm yours.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Wonderful.
And I think you've given so many encouraging words for creative moms. So can you just give us one sentence to encourage a mom today?
You matter too, mama. Just be good to you.
That's it. Thank you so much, Naida. We appreciate you. We're so glad that we had you with us.
My joy. My joy.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening in. Catch us weekly on Spotify and Amazon Music. Leave us a review and follow us on Instagram and Facebook to get more information and inspiration on motherhood and making things.
Have a question or a comment? Send us an email at the ProCreatives podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.